Hello everyone, it is Hunter from Gaming by Gamers and welcome back to web series episode 10. 10 episodes, can you believe it? And it only took us 8 months to film. Anyways, has this 8-month-long journey been leading up to this? Will the SpiderMan 3 movie game be the best game of the show? Hell yeah it is! Oh, sorry, no, I read that wrong. Before we jump into gameplay though, I just want to take a second to thank our sponsor, Vilros. Vilros makes really cool retro gaming controllers, and if you stick around towards the end of the video, I'm going to be talking a little more about them. Thank you again, Vilros, for the sponsorship. Now let's get on to the review. So, welcome to SpiderMan 3 on the Xbox 360. First things first, is he in the game?
Man, you sure do get hit a lot. You know, there's a handy dodge button.
Alright. The game starts off in this random burning building, and I swear I thought I chose the wrong hard drive and I was in the middle of another game. Sure, Tobey Maguire's narration wasn't very good in the last two games, but why change the formula now? I was so confused. Anyways, we start with the fight tutorial, and the combat is fine, I guess. It's a lot like SpiderMan 2's combat, but everything feels a little more sluggish. I feel like I should be a little more bouncy than I am. The game is always telling me I'm too far away to land the punch, and throughout the entire game I never got used to it. I am a huge fan of the phrase, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but SpiderMan 2's combat was just alright. It should have been improved upon in this game. They also removed the dodge button and instead added this Spidey sense. I really hate this. The entire game you basically have to hold this down when fighting to beat up groups of enemies, and when it runs out, you just wait for it to come back so you can keep using it. It requires no skill, and because the combat isn't very fun, I found myself using it in every fight because I wanted to get the fights over with quickly. Moving away from the combat, they also added a Batman-like detective mode, and this did come out a long time before the Arkham games, so I have to give them credit for being innovative with that. This game does have one of my least favorite gaming mechanics though. I'm playing the game, minding my own business. I beat the levels, set my controller down, when all of a sudden... Completely out of left field, they add QuickTime events randomly. None of the other games had them, so why did they decide to throw them in this game? They always have it when I least expect it, so I sit my controller down and then all of a sudden I'm dead. The QuickTime events wouldn't be so bad if I didn't have to hear the audio over and over and over again for the harder ones. Anyways, this time I noticed they got the entire cast, including J.K. Simmons as JJ. Toby does an intro after the first mission, and it's not great, but it is a step up from what we're used to. Graphics wise, it looks pretty good. This was the first Spider-Man game on the 7th generation of consoles, and they did a pretty good job. The city looks great, Spider-Man's textured really well, the faces are nightmares. Also, JJ looks like he could spin his neck 180 degrees at any time. Overall though, I am impressed with the graphics and technical stuff. The world looks real and lived in. Like, look at all these cars. That looks amazing. It's not until you take a closer look when you start to realize that this is a ghost town. There are never any citizens walking around, only cars. The only time the game really renders people on the ground is in the story missions. Speaking of story, how is it? Well, it's based off SpiderMan 3, so... Alright, everyone knows that SpiderMan 3 was a bad movie. They had 3 main bad guys, and the film felt way too cluttered. But this is a Spider-Man video game. Plenty of the games have had tons of characters and they all made it work, so this should be pretty decent. I've never been so wrong in my entire life. Yeah, this game does have the 3 main bad guys from the film, and then stuffs about 5 more classic bad guys, and then has 3 different gang leaders you also have to fight along with a ton of other side stories and missions. This game has 42 missions! They couldn't cram more characters into this game if they wanted to. You might be thinking, how could more missions and people be bad? Games like The Witcher 3 do an amazing job with tons of side characters and tons of side missions. Well, this isn't The Witcher 3. All of the missions felt like a drag, and there was no way to tell the difference between a side missions and a main mission. You just had to do everyone to beat the game. I'm just getting myself upset. Let's talk about the missions themselves. When you're looking at the map, there's a ton of different storylines you can choose from, each consisting of about 3 or 4 missions, except for the bomb mission. There's like 50 of these. In these levels, you have to chase down the person who bombed the building in the tutorial level. You follow clues that lead you to a map of the bombs around the city.
This is bad. They've planted bombs all over the subway.
Why, yes, of course. It's quite simple. How did I not see it before? You run down the subway tracks to search for the bombs, and I gotta say, I'm impressed with the fact that the subway is this huge in the game. You can go underground and swing around all through the tunnels with trains coming through and everything. It's another one of those little technical details that makes the game feel more lived in. Once you swing around for a bit, you find one of the bombs and you have to use a train to pull the metal plate off it. Thank God one of Spider-Man's powers is the ability to summon trains. Once you get to the bomb, you have to spin off all the bolts. All of them. I did it! I saved the city! Ah! You're gonna have to disarm a lot of bombs in this game, so get used to losing skin in the middle of your palm. From there, it's a few simple puzzles to disarm it, and after disarming a few, you beat the level. Now that you've done that, you can swing over to the university and start another mission. The big question on everyone's mind is, how is the web swinging? Honestly, it's trash. I don't understand how they could downgrade so much with this game. There are two important things you have to be able to do with the web swinging. One, go fast, and two, gain altitude. I feel like I'm a grand piano when I'm swinging around. You're so slow and so heavy. Spider-Man should never feel heavy. The second game got it so right. I know it looks fine in the footage you're watching, but when you play it, it's something you can just feel. I only swing around in this game to get somewhere, never just for fun, and that really is a shame because the animations are pretty amazing. See, I'm getting myself worked up again. Let's just start the mission.
Dr. Kurt Connors. Time is...
Wait a minute. No, what? Okay, I remember last game you were killed by Doc Ock. Like, I even commented on it. Doc Ock gets put in the hospital and then kills his doctors. Then he goes out, finds Dr. Connors, and kills him. Well, there goes any chance of fighting the lizard in the sequel. So I guess Spider-Man 2 didn't happen, but it references other stuff from that game. And it's Spider-Man 3. Okay, whatever. This actually happens a lot throughout the game. Scorpio and Rhino are introduced like they haven't been in the other games. Also, the run cycle for Scorpion is just, oh boy. Ugh, this game is such a mess. After you play around 25 missions, you get the black suit. The game does pick up a bit from there. The black suit makes you way more powerful and you get a ton of extra combos. It starts to follow a little more of the movie by Peter becoming a total dick to everyone. He's not evil or anything, just really out of line. He yells at MJ for no reason, and he sexually harasses Betty in the workplace. But worst of all, he breaks Eddie Brock's camera. That single act was so devious that later Eddie kidnaps Sandman's child in order to blackmail him. Let me run that back one more time. He kidnaps and threatens to murder a child because Spider-Man broke his camera. Let's take a further step back. Why did Pete break Eddie's camera? Eddie is trying to get a picture of Spider-Man committing a crime so he can get hired full-time at the Daily Bugle. So Eddie hires this guy to pretend to be Spider-Man. Does Eddie have a brain tumor? This isn't a New York Times cartoon strip. People aren't that stupid. Spider-Man catches him, and then we find an actor who is worse than Tobey Maguire.
Oh, you think you're smart, buddy? Well, think again. I hit a bunch of cameras around here, and now I have an even better shot than I was planning. You punching me in the jaw and taking my camera. So thanks.
Oh yeah, during all of this, you fight Sandman and the New Goblin for one mission each. They are not very notable besides the amount of QuickTime events. So after like 10 missions, you get rid of the black suit and it attaches itself to Eddie Brock. And now we jump back into the scene where Venom kidnaps Sandman's kid. Alright, now I want you to take a second to think. What does Venom look like? Just picture it in your head. Got it? Okay. So that's the Venom we get. I don't like being disappointed. Yet here I am again. Anyways, literally the mission after this cutscene is the final one. You fight Venom and it's a really easy fight. Then Harry sees the fight on the news and becomes the new Goblin again and helps you. You get to actually play as Harry, and that's really cool. You get a bunch of attacks at your disposal, and you fly over to help fight. Then after being able to free roam and fly around, you're stuck on this 360-degree loop and have to fight against Giant Sandman. And this is the only way to kill him. Who in their right mind thought this was fun? You have an awesome last surprise character and they completely wasted him. Look at that, I'm getting upset again. You then fight Venom again as Spider-Man and you both have really low health. You give him the old 1-2 and then a final quick time battle. You probably just tear Venom off Eddie. So you impale Venom and Eddie, and that's the game. You have one final cutscene where Spidey's swinging around, and I really do love it. Any Spider-Man media that ends with a really cool web swing gets major points from me. Now that we finished the game, let's go over everything before I give it a final score. Let's talk about the cons first. The combat was bland, story was a mess, way too many characters, QuickTime events were annoying, facial animation was really rough, I don't think eyelids were in the budget, the missions were boring, and the web swinging was really bad. The pros? Well, it has Spider-Man. No, but seriously, it does have some good things. I like being able to play as Harry, the graphics were good, and Spider-Man especially looked nice. The voice acting was better than the last two games, and the detective mode was pretty innovative. This game wasn't very fun, and I was really just looking forward to getting it over with. I'm not going to be replaying this game for any reason. There are much better Spider-Man games to play on the generation before this. For all those reasons, and more that I just don't have time to cover, I'm going to be giving this game a 3 crying Tobey Maguires out of 10. And that wraps up the Sam Raimi movie games. It really was a blast from the past, and I'm glad I got to relive both the good and the bad. Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, and make sure to click that bell right next to the subscribe button. That'll let you be notified every time I upload. Thank you again for watching, and have a great day. God, I'm so thirsty. Where's my water bottle? What? Why? If you've been keeping up with the show, you might be wondering, how do I play all these old games? With an emulator, of course. But believe it or not, a keyboard isn't the best way to play all these old games. That's why I bought the Vilros 5 USB controller pack. I got this around the start of the show so I could give all the games a fair chance, and it really is amazing. It comes with an NES, SNES, Sega Genesis, N64, and a PlayStation 2 controller. So if after this episode you want to go back and play a Spider-Man game, we both just learned don't pick SpiderMan 3. Go play SpiderMan 2, and the best way to play it is on an emulator using the Vilros controllers. I'll leave a link in the description for the exact 5-pack that I have, and it's the best way to play. Thank you again, Vilros, for the sponsorship, and have a great day.